Welcome back to J&J Dynasty. We're looking disheveled today, but it's all good. It's Friday, the weekend is here, and preseason, meaningful preseason football is here. I watched one of the games last night, so kind of want to talk about a couple of things today. Just basically, kind of some roster construction notes, things to expect from this weekend and going forward, and a little bit about a couple of the players last night. I watched the Kansas City Green Bay game. I didn't see the whole Houston Texans game, and I saw some of it, but parts of I'll give a little synopsis on that and what's going on with everything. So let's start off with the games and some of the players in those games. We'll start off actually with some free agent news or news on some players, and then we'll go into the games and then we'll go to big picture roster construction stuff with games. All right, so Kenyon Drake got cut this week. He is sneaky. If you can get him somewhere, get him. Um, I think in the last video I talked about Isaiah Likely, Isaiah Pacheco. Those guys are going crazy for crazy numbers. Don't fall for it with Isaiah Likely. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco, but I don't know. And I'll talk about him in a minute here. Some other guys that are going crazy. I see some interest now in Curtis Samuel, who's available in a lot of leagues. He's going to be the number two receiver, probably, maybe even above Dotson in Washington. So he's a sleeper out there for you to go out and get. Paris Campbell is still out there. Zay Jones, if you're really desperate, he might be something because he's supposed to be a starting receiver there in Jacksonville. Lawrence is looking better, so he might be somebody that you may want to think about grabbing. Um, Marvin Jones also, I guess. I mean, if you're in a chase for the playoffs, I mean, he's perfectly fine as a sixth or seventh receiver. If you have to count on him, you're probably in trouble. He will give you some decent games, but yeah. Um, let's see here. Running backs who are in trouble. Um, well, I mean, we can go into some of the running back issues, and a lot of them were manifested last night in the two games, right? So with the Houston Texans, it looks like Pierce is going to be the starting running back, mixed in with Marlon Mack. So Mack is probably going to be the number two, but I think that those two guys are going to be the big workload in that timeshare. So with that being said, Davis Mills was looking okay. He threw a touchdown, looking all right. And San Francisco, um, Trey Lance apparently did not look really good last night. He needs growth. He needs to play, and they'll figure it out. So Shanahan is figuring out with him, and whew, get that down on that side. Okay, so that's a work in progress. As far as Kansas City and Green Bay, Green Bay's wide receiver room is kind of diseased. So, but we all know that, and so I'm not going to comment anymore on that. But last night it looked like Ronald Jones got a reprieve from the dumpster fire that is being cut. So I thought he was on his way out, but he looked pretty good along with the injury to Gore. Definitely sounds like he's making the roster in Kansas City. So he might be able to climb up the ladder and get playing time when CEH sucks again. So if you have Ronald Jones, he may be a guy you can get for nothing and hope in a couple, 3, 4, 5 weeks that he can ascend and get meaningful playing time. Looks like Pacheco has usurped him. They gave him two more carries in the game. They had very similar averages as far as per carry. So Pacheco looks like he is a thing and that he's going to be relevant, but how relevant is one of the 3 or 4 backs that they're going to use in Kansas City? That's like saying, the New England Patriots timeshare running back. I've got one of them and he's really relevant. Not really interested in it. But that's what we have for that. So that was kind of a little synopsis of some of the free agent stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else out there as far as anybody relevant. Give me a minute. Zach Wilson is being cut in a few leagues. If you have the roster spot, you could conceivably grab him. Um, he may not be worth anything for several weeks, but buy low, sell high, right? All right, that's enough player stuff. I guess one of the things that I was going to say, and as far as roster construction, and Wilson kind of plays into that, is that I go through the offseason and I don't have any kickers or defenses. I finally picked up my first defense in one league, and that was because the defenses looked like they were getting really scarce. There was down to two decent ones, and four teams in the league didn't have a defense. So I figured, for a buck, I'll try and sneak one real quick right through, right? So I wound up doing that. I wound up picking up the Ravens defense for $1. Well, of course, when I do that, then it was the Colts and the Patriots got dropped the week I picked somebody up. So that's why you don't really need to, because there's always going to be a defense out there, right? So that's what that is. I mean, I just right now I've been in the mindset, and I'm trying not to panic yet because I know that there's plenty of time. But being I don't have a kicker or defense, I'm trying to pare down or do 2-for-1 trades, trading up, or so I can open up a roster spot for a kicker or defense. I've also been trying to do trades for guys who I know are going to go on the IR or are on the IR. So like Pierre Strong for Traquan Thornton, or Pierre Strong for um, Justin Ross, right? Or Tim Patrick, guys like that who already are on the injured reserve. I'm trying to get rid of active players for guys who I can have on my roster, so that way I don't lose an asset altogether, just have to cut them. That's one of my number one things, is I never want to really cut somebody. I'd rather trade them to somebody and have them cut them, because that way you're always saving value and building value in your team, and your team's value keeps going up incrementally, right? So if you never have to cut anybody, you're getting something for them. Something's better than nothing. So that's what I'm trying to say about that. But also in that regard, in that vein, if you have a kicker and a defense not selected on your team yet, don't worry about it. Repeat, don't worry about it. Because right now, we're coming into the final preseason games, and everybody's going to play. There are going to be guys that are going to get hurt. It's a bad year for offensive tackles already this year, right? Left tackles especially. Um, but more guys are going to get hurt. The big time players are going to play this weekend, at least a quarter, maybe a half. So some of these guys are going to get nicked up. Some of these guys are going to sadly blow out a knee. And that's going to make for some roster movement. Not only that, but this year there's 2 weeks between this game and the first regular season game, when you have to finalize your roster, when you have to put in a lineup on that Thursday. If you don't have anybody in the Thursday night game, you actually have until the weekend. So you got an extra day and a half, 2 days to actually finalize your roster and then submit a lineup. So don't worry about not having a kicker or defense. Don't worry about having too many players. Don't worry about having to make trades. There's going to be plenty of trades, because everybody's going to be seeing the different value. Stuff's going to be coming out about players switching positions as far as being third, second, or first. As far as running backs, wide receivers, all that kind of stuff. That news is going to come out, and it's going to make a lot of changes for people on their teams, and they're going to feel that they need to upgrade their roster, and trades are going to happen in those 2 weeks. So what my point is don't panic yet. Let the process play out. If you are getting in that last week, getting towards Thursday, then start to panic. Really, maybe give something away to get something done. But that's what I'm trying to say, is you don't have to panic until then, because even at that, guys get hurt in the first game, and somebody's going to need to make a trade for somebody. It always happens. So that's just kind of my 2 cents about this going forward. A few players, a little roster construction. as far as, with MFL and the rules and regs with that kind of stuff. So, with that being said, I think I've rambled on enough. I need to go grab my lunch or my dinner, eat it, and get the heck out of here. So, all right. With that being said, have a great day from J&J Dynasty.